Okay, ready to dive into a world of, well, knowledge itself. We're talking Encyclopedia Britannica. You know those impressive volumes gracing bookshelves since, get this, 1768. But what's the story behind Britannica? We've got excerpts from its Wikipedia article. And with expert speaker here, we're going beyond those iconic covers, uncovering a history of how we humans have sought knowledge.
I am always up for a good origin story. And Britannica is, it's got it all. Rivalry, ambition, a touch of national pride.
So picture this, Edinburgh, Scotland. Heart of the Scottish Enlightenment. What was in the air back then?
Intellectual ferment.
Yeah.
Edinburgh was buzzing with new ideas. And you can't talk Britannica without Diderot's Encyclopédie. It was the French counterpart. And there was this feeling, anything you can do, we can do better.
A battle of the brains across the English Channel. Britannica's born from that, right? Aiming to be the source of knowledge.
And for a long time, it was. For centuries, if you needed reliable information, Britannica was it, the gold standard. But it wasn't always easy.
Oh, I bet. It went through some changes, didn't it? I mean, from those early volumes to the massive sets I remember as a kid.
The early editions. Scottish scholars, long scholarly articles, not exactly a light read.
Right. But then Britannica crosses the Atlantic, lands in the hands of American publishers. Did that change things?
Definitely. They realized to reach a wider audience, Britannica had to adapt. Shorter articles, more accessible, for the average reader.
Yeah.
But it makes you think, doesn't it? Did that change what Britannica was? Was it a trade-off? Accessibility versus scholarly rigor?
That's a great question. Was it still worth it? I mean, literally, it was heavy, those volumes, especially with Collier's and World Book popping up.
Britannica, with that reputation and those leather-bound volumes, it cost more. The price you paid for knowledge, I guess.
And speaking of price, this takes us to a whole new world. The digital age. Remember those CD-ROMs? That's where Microsoft's Encarta enters the scene. Knowledge wasn't bound to those big volumes anymore. It was at your fingertips, multimedia and all. How did Britannica handle that?
They had to adapt, that's for sure. It was a real battle. But both Encarta and Britannica faced criticism, especially about U.S.-centric bias.
Even the biggest dreams of capturing all knowledge have limits. But then, the real game changer, Wikipedia. Talk about disruption.
It was unlike anything we'd seen. Wikipedia, crowdsourced, challenged the whole idea of experts curating content and the cost. Free.
David and Goliath, Britannica, this institution against this constantly growing free platform. And then 2005, Nature magazine just stirs things up. They do a head-to-head accuracy comparison. What'd they find?
That both Wikipedia and Britannica had some errors, but Britannica had a few less.
So Britannica wins.
Well, Britannica issued a rebuttal, criticized the study's methods, even called for a retraction. They said Nature used content from Britannica's yearbook. And even Compton's Encyclopedia, which, at the time, was branded as Britannica's student encyclopedia on their site.
So the accuracy debate raged on. But it shows how things were changing. Information was moving online. Okay, but beyond all that, what about Britannica's cultural impact? I mean, those stories of people reading the entire set.
No, that's commitment. There's just something about someone, fire going, a cup of tea, delving into all that knowledge, volume by volume.
C.S. Forester wrote the Horatio Hornblower books. He claimed to have read the whole Britannica twice.
And then there's Amos Urban Shirk. 3 hours every night for 4.5 years to finish the 11th edition.
Imagine those dinner conversations. Pass the potatoes, and did you know that?
But Britannica's more than just dedicated readers, right? It's in literature, too.
Don't tell me. Sherlock Holmes was a fan.
You got it. It's in the Red-Headed League, one of Conan Doyle's stories. Oh, and get this. A Persian Shah loved Britannica so much, he added Master of the Encyclopedia Britannica to his titles.
Talk about a conversation starter. By order of the Master of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Has a nice wing to it.
It does. But things change, and in 2012, Britannica makes a decision. After 244 years, they stop printing. The end of an era.
It would only be digital from then on. Bittersweet for those of us who loved the feel of those pages. But it shows how much technology changes how we interact with information, right?
It really does. And it leads us to today. Britannica, online only, adapting to the digital world.
But what about this mysterious global edition?
Ah, yes. Released in 2010, same time as their last print run of the 15th edition.
What's the story there? What made it different?
Well, it was designed to be shorter, more globally focused, and instead of that micro and macropedia structure, they went back to the classic A to Z format, like the older editions had.
More concise, global. It's like they were refining their formula, but going digital only? Was that the right move? Did it work out for them?
It's interesting. They could reach so many more people, no more limits of printing, shipping, all that.
Hmm.
But it also meant competing with everything online.
True. It's not just Encarta anymore, right? It's the whole internet. How do you stand out with all that noise?
They had to think differently. Remember in 2008, they did something bold. They let the public contribute to Britannica online.
Wait, really? Like Wikipedia? But Britannica's all about experts.
It was a risk, definitely. But they didn't just become a wiki. They still had their experts check everything. Every contribution was reviewed and approved.
So they kept their reputation for accuracy, but opened up a bit. Clever. What else did they do to keep up?
Well, they went mobile, of course. Partnered up so you could get Britannica on your phone, your tablet. Remember those Britannica Kids apps? Parents love those.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense. Kids these days, it's all phones and tablets. Meet them where they are. But they didn't stop there.
Nope. They've got things like Britannica Insights. It's a browser extension. You're on Google, searching for something, and boom, Britannica snippets pop up right in your result.
That's wild. Like having a Britannica expert right there with you, guiding you to good information. It seems like they're always trying new things, making knowledge easier to find, fighting back against all the bad info out there. But with all this change, they haven't forgotten about, actual books, have they?
Not at all. In fact, get this. They printed a brand new encyclopedia in 2020.
What? Seriously, I thought they were all digital now. Why go back to print?
They are for their main encyclopedia. This was different. It's called Britannica All New Children's Encyclopedia, What We Know and What We Don't.
So for kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get them excited about learning. And people loved it. It's engaging, and it acknowledges that sometimes you just need a real book.
It's kind of nice, actually. This institution, known for those huge volumes, remembering that physical books still have a place.
It shows they get it. People learn in different ways. And maybe, just maybe, printed books are making a comeback.
Hope so. Love a good book. So, Britannica keeps changing. Proof that we humans are curious. Always looking for knowledge. But where do they fit in now? With everything else out there, Wikipedia, social media, it's just constant information overload.
That's the big question, isn't it? We've got all this information, so much of it free, but then again, maybe we need those experts to help us make sense of it all.
Especially with all the fake news and misinformation these days, it's like we've come full circle.
Exactly. We need sources we can trust. And Britannica, they've got that history. But it's not just about facts anymore. It's context, analysis, hearing different sides of a story.
Making sense of it all, understanding not just what's happening, but why. So as technology keeps changing how we learn, what's next for Britannica, this institution that's been around for centuries?
It really makes you think, can Britannica keep up? They've got this legacy, but everything's so fast now,
It does make you wonder. Will kids in the future, will they be scrolling through Britannica? Will they feel that same, wonder that I did, reading those big volumes when I was a kid?
It's an interesting thought. Britannica's journey, it's kind of like all of us, right? How we see knowledge, how we learn. From those carefully made books to now, where everything's online, always changing.
It's been quite a ride for them, competing with other encyclopedias. Then Wikipedia comes along, and now it's like, how do you even deal with all this information?
And all the misinformation, too, right? But through it all, they've adapted. They've changed with the times. That's what's so fascinating about them.
It's really a story about us, isn't it? Humans, I mean. We're always searching for knowledge, figuring out how to find it, understand it, share it.
From the Scottish Enlightenment to the digital age, right? Britannica shows us that we're curious. We want to know things, to explore, to ask questions, to figure out the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Encyclopedia Britannica, we're left with a question. In this world of endless information, what will Britannica's place be? What will its legacy be? It's something to think about.
It is. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep searching for those stories that teach us something new.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. We'll see you next time, ready to uncover more fascinating stories from the world of information.